Word to your mother, boys and girls. It is your boy Sniper West coming at you here from WizardSportsPicks.com. It is Wednesday. It is February 25th, 2026. And we have some college basketball tonight. We have a very, very good game between St. John's and UConn. Actually, a rematch. If you remember, they just played this game a couple of weeks ago, Whiz. I think we talked about that one, too. That game was actually at Madison Square Garden. This one will be at UConn. And so we'll see if UConn can get their revenge. But I would like to invite everybody to go over to the website, WizardSportsPicks.com. Plenty of great handicappers over there. We will, on Friday, we'll have $5 Friday. $10 for the guaranteed plays. So fantastic promotion if you want some bankroll builders for your weekend. Friday, you can go check out the website. I've been red hot. I went 3-0 on the card last night. And so great things happening over there at the website. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel as well. It does help our analytics. Whiz, let's talk about the top 5 teams in college basketball right now. So you were very close on this edition of the Wizards Crystal Ball that we did on Monday. You had predicted Duke, Michigan, Arizona, Houston, and UConn. And
could I make a little addendum, because that was before the Houston game. Okay,
that is
the
true.
Houston beat down. So the rankings weren't out. So now let me make and I don't know what the rankings are. Let me make an addendum, because I deserved. I certainly worthy of making that change after Houston got belted. So
for sure.
Here it is, and I don't even know what it is. Duke won. I'll take Michigan 2, Arizona 2, Michigan 3, and then I'll take for 4. I'll take UConn and Iowa State. I'll drop Houston out of the top 5. I would even put them as low as 9 or 10 after that belt down and losing 3 in a row. So Duke, Arizona, Michigan, Iowa State, UConn. Let's put it that way. Let's make it Iowa State, UConn.
Well, what I have, and I actually looked this up right before we came on. I'm actually going to double check it right now because because they actually. Well, here's what I'm going to go to the AP website right now, just to make sure I'm getting it correct. So we have Duke number 1, Arizona number 2, Michigan number 3, Iowa State number 4, Houston is still number 5, and UConn 6, Florida 7.
I don't buy that. No way. Houston has a very poor front court. They've been exposed. They run everything, around the 3-point line. They forget that. That's Houston's down below them. No way. I don't care what they say.
Yeah.
I'm saying Iowa State, UConn, Florida 6. So that's it.
All right. There you go. I mean, differences of opinion can lead to betting opportunities, right? One man's trash is another man's treasure, they say. So there you go. So, I mean, but you were close. You were right there. You hit Duke, Arizona, and Michigan right on the head. And after that, it's some differences of opinion between yourself and the voters. But, it is what it is. We do have a big game this evening, Wiz. We have UConn and St. John's. Interested to hear your thoughts on this. I do have a free play on this game. I'll go ahead and give out my free play, and then you can maybe analyze my free play and tell me what you think about that play and if you agree or not. So here's my play. These two teams, obviously, if you remember, they played Madison Square Garden, as I said earlier. That was February 6th. St. John's is now the number 15 team in the country. They won that contest 81-72. They go to Connecticut. Connecticut is looking for St. John's, I'm sorry. St. John's has won 13 in a row. They're looking for their 14th win in a row. Very impressive. They're 8-2 against the spread in the last 10 head-to-heads against UConn. So they kind of own UConn. Even if they don't win the game, they always seem to cover versus UConn, right? But the Huskies, they have a lot of revenge, obviously, because they lost that game at Madison Square Garden. UConn has won 8 of their last 10, so they are playing well also. And I like UConn here. It's a big revenge spot. It's rapid revenge because they just played February 6th, so they just, that loss is fresh in their mind. I think Bobby Hurley's a fantastic head coach. We know Pitino's a great head coach too. I just think UConn being at home was the difference. The line kind of moved toward them. The last I looked, I think it was at 5. I think it opened at 4.5. It went up to 5. Bobby Hurley, even in the media, he was quoted as saying that we need this game very, very badly. If we want any hope to win the Big East, we have to win this game tonight. So I think his team's going to have his back. I think they're going to show up. I think they're going to cover the number and pull away late, maybe win by 7 or 8. Your thoughts, Whiz?
Well, I live in Connecticut, so I'm very familiar with UConn playing at Storrs or at Hartford Arena. It's a big difference. Storrs is a very tough place to play. It's like a smaller version of Allen Fieldhouse. It's got a great student section. It's noisy. It's this is a tough environment. I feel that as far as matchups go, coach to coach, Pitino to me is the better coach. I don't care that Hurley has won all the championships, and Pitino, won with the 2013 Cards, and with Kentucky. It's a being at home coaching. It's an even matchup. As far as physicality, UConn's going to have to match the physicality of St. John's in the front court and in rebounding. UConn has an advantage, to me, a substantial advantage in their backcourt. That has been the St. John's Achilles heel. If they have weakness, it's their backcourt. I feel that, UConn was very impressive. They went through a little lull there, prior to the Villanova game. They had some tough games. They had lost a game that they shouldn't have lost. I think it was against, who was it? It was Butler or Xavier. I'm not sure who that game, I don't remember, but they struggled against Georgetown. If I'm not mistaken, they struggled a little bit against Providence. I think on a neutral court, it's a pick'em game. At Storrs, I don't even know what the line. You said the line's 4.5, 5.
It's actually up to 6. 6. Actually, it's 6.5 now. Wow.
Well, look, I ain't laying 6.5 with UConn against Pitino and St. John's. There's no way. I think your bet of laying 5, if it was 5 and 5.5, I think if you're going to cover, it's going to be a late, you're going to hold your breath. I don't see in any scenario that UConn blows them out. I mean, if St. John's shows up and both play an A game, there's no way that St. John's is going to get blown out. But I could see it covering. It's smart money raising it up. I mean, it's a line that begs you to take St. John's. To me, I am not touching this game at 6.5. If it was 4, 3.5, 4, I would say it's more, more interesting. But you're going to have to hold your nose at 6 and 6.5. I'll tell you that. Because
Definitely.
St. John's doesn't, unless they lay an egg, they play. Pitino doesn't take the gas off the pedal off the gas. He's and to me, he's the better coach. I don't, I really feel that way. His body of work is just, he just gets these teams to play tough physical ball, and UConn's better match it, or else, it's going to be a tough game for them.
Yeah. It was UConn, they lost that game to St. John's. They beat Butler and Georgetown. They lost to Creighton 91.
Creighton, that's right. Creighton, McDermott's team. They have played a little below average ball for them, but their second half against Villanova was really impressive. They just crushed them. But to me, that game, Villanova was an overrated team. Only 3 teams, I think, are going to get into the tournament from the Big East. I don't see any more. Do you?
Connecticut, St. John's.
And Villanova.
And Villanova. Yeah.
Who else?
I would probably tend to agree with you there. Yeah, I would probably tend to agree. So you have, St. John's, Connecticut, Nova, Seton Hall, 9-8 in conference. Then Creighton. Creighton did beat UConn, but yeah, I don't know. Like
There's
supposed to
too
get dicey.
many, there's too many, too many teams coming out of the Big 12 and the Big 10 and, it's just the SEC, the large
Yeah,
bids, the winning the conference tournament. I mean, there's no room. There's no room. I don't see any room for another team. I really don't.
yeah. That brings up another good point, Wiz. What are your thoughts? Because I've heard in, I'm sure you have your thoughts on this. I think that 64 teams is perfect. Obviously, with the play-in on Tuesday and Wednesday at 68, right, or something like that. But they're talking about going up to like 100 teams in this dang tournament, and I just think it's at some point you got to draw the line in the sand, right?
I think that's ridiculous. I think it's just too much. It
Yeah,
waters down the tournament. I like the way, I think there should be some room to add in, a couple teams that may not get in that are on the fringes, but have are worthy of getting in. I'll tell you what's going to be interesting is, Miami, Ohio. Who wants to play them in the
yeah,
first round? Come on, who wants to
nobody.
play them? So you got
Yeah,
this team that's what, 27 or 28 and 0. What are they? 27 or
right.
what's their 28 and 0?
I think they're 20. I think they're 28-0 after their win last night.
Okay. Now they're not losing. They're going undefeated in their conference. But let's say they did lose like their last game, right? For some
Right.
reason. And then they got knocked out in the second round of the tournament. You know,
Yeah,
if you leave them out, you can't leave them out. You cannot leave them out. And I don't see any
yeah,
scenario you leave them out, right? And they're darn good. They're
yeah,
really good.
yeah. Well, not only that, but they are. I think they're number one in all of college basketball, 19-6 against the spread. So not only are they 15-0 in conference, 28-0, they are covering at an extremely high rate. I mean, so they're exceeding odds makers' expect. They're even better than advertised. Is my point. I mean, they just cover you hang up a 10. They were hanging 9.5 or 10 or 10.5 last night. It didn't matter. They blew out whoever they were playing. I will say though, Akron is playing some good basketball there out of the MAC. They're 14-1 in conference. They're 23-5. So I mean, they're
Do
having a
they have
pretty
a
good
game?
season.
Do
But
they have
just
a game on? Do they have a game on tap? The two of them, in the regular,
uh, you know, I can hear. I can find out really quick. So upcoming. No, they're not gonna. Not in the regular season. They
not in
have
the
three
regular
more
season.
regular season. Yeah, they have three more regular season games, but they do not have each other on the docket. Obviously, that
So
means they've already played, and we know who won that game because Miami, Ohio is
right.
undefeated.
So how about
Although I
this? How
wonder.
about Go ahead? What's their remaining
I,
teams that they play?
let's find out. I have that right here. So upcoming games, they have Western Michigan, Toledo, and Ohio, who are Western Michigan is 12th in the MAC. They're 10-18, so they're probably going to get smoked. I'm sure that
They're
spread's
going to
going to be
get right,
10 or more.
right.
Then you have Ohio is 15-13, fourth in the MAC. They're probably going to get smoked.
Goodbye, adios.
And yep, and then Ohio is 15-13, fifth in the MAC. So they're probably going to get smoked. What I want to actually see, I want to see what happened when Akron played Miami, Ohio this year. That was on January 3rd.
I think it was a close game.
And yeah, it was 76-73. Miami, Ohio
Yeah.
won. And the spread was 4.5. So Akron hung inside that spread.
Okay.
So interesting there. Interesting for the conference tournament there. If you wind up getting Akron versus Miami, Ohio, which very well could happen.
Yeah, and then so you get two in. If Akron won that conference, you'd
Yeah.
have Akron in,
Yeah.
and then but it's a one bid league, so they'd have to get an at large, vote in at large bid, which they certainly would be.
Yeah.
You cannot leave them out. There's no way you could leave them
No,
out.
you can't.
I told you
You
the
can't.
one of the
Yeah, they've had that.
it's going to be a great competitive tournament, the MAC conference. Merrimack, St. Peter's, Siena, Sacred Heart, Fairfield.
MAAC, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the one conference, the bottom. So it's I think there's 12 teams. There's 14 teams in the league, and the two, Niagara and Canisius, are out. But I'm telling you, on any given night, any one of those teams could beat another team. Really, I'm
Yeah.
serious. It's probably the one league where, and it's really good basketball. And it's the one league where, like, any one of those 10 teams rides a hot hand. Now, if you get a bye in that first round, you do have an advantage, a big advantage. But that doesn't mean that a team that has to play, I don't know how many games and how many nights, there is a break in there. That starts next week, at Atlantic City.
Yeah.
But, that's an interesting conference because of how close it is with a lot of these teams. Merrimack is number one. I think they won the conference. You wouldn't want to go up against them in the tournament if they're in, because of
Nope.
that. We talked
Nope.
about that funky zone they play.
Yeah. And they, speaking of another great covering team, they are 19-10 against the number. So, 16-2 in conference, 20-9, and 19-10 against the number. So, bookmakers are hanging numbers out there and they're blowing teams out. They're favored in most of these games, which means they are laying points and they are exceeding those points. They're blowing teams out by double digits. So
I think that should
they've
be
had
a
to persevere.
criteria for letting some of these
Yeah.
teams get into, how
I
well have
think
they covered the point spread?
I think it is to a certain extent because they want to see, how you did against certain teams and whether you blew certain teams out. I know with college football, it's the same thing. It's, how well did you play versus bad teams? Did you barely, did Alabama barely beat Jacksonville State or did they beat them by 50? They take that into account, So.
Yeah.
So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we hit both MACs. We hit the MAAC and the MAC, the Midwest Atlantic Conference, I believe it is, right? Yeah, Midwest Atlantic Conference. But anyway, this has been another episode of the Wizards Crystal Ball. My name is Sniper West, and that is the Whiz over there. And don't forget to go over to wizardsportspicks.com. Once again, like I said, plenty of handicappers over there. You can check out the leaderboard, see who is hot and what sport. Hockey is officially back, ladies and gentlemen. Very excited about that. I have a premium hockey play over at the website tonight. And please like and subscribe to these videos on YouTube as well. We're going to have 2 or 3 videos out. I'm going to do another video for this channel right after this. I have about 3 or 4 free plays I'm going to give out. And I hope we go cash some tickets today. Wiz, you got anything on the way out?
I have a question for you. What do you make of
Sure.
the Devils game tonight? So Jack Hughes was at the White House yesterday, and he's going to come back.
Right.
He hasn't played. He's been, celebrating. Does that, and he's like one of the best in the game. The guy's crazy good. He won the game for him and Hollebeck won the game for the USA. What do you make of that Devils game? Just on that angle.
Well, I would love to answer your question, but it sounds like you read my write-up on that game.
I did not. I know.
I know you didn't. I know you didn't. I'm just saying because I referenced that exact angle in my premium play write-up. That's actually my premium play tonight at the website. And that angle that you just mentioned is 1 or 2 of my sentences in the write-up. So we are thinking the same exact thing.
2 morons thinking alike, right?
There you go. With 2 peas in a pod over here. But I will tell you, as far as the rest of the slate, I'm not going to throw any analysis out there, but what else did I like in hockey today? I did, because I was choosing between a couple of games and I wound up settling on that Sabres Devils game. I do like in Anaheim on the West Coast. I like the Anaheim Ducks. They're a small dog against the Oilers tonight. If you guys want to take a look at that, I think the Ducks are going to play well. Remember, Canada, they just got the silver instead of the gold. So, I mean, you could take that for what it is. Are they going to be all those players going to be ticked and, take it out on the NHL? Or are they going to have a little bit of a hangover from, playing in the Olympics? That's something to take into account, which is what I did with Jack Hughes in that Sabres Devils game. I think I have a very sharp edge and angle on that game. So,
Okay.
But yeah, plenty of NBA, plenty of college basketball, plenty of hockey going on right now, plenty of ways to make money over at the website. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for watching the Wizards Crystal Ball. This was Wednesday, February 25th episode. We will be back the 27th on Friday and shoot, an episode talking about all the weekend games. Okay. So I hope you guys make some money today. Peace out and keep firing.